All right, today we're going to do something fun and different. I'm a huge fan of the Team Yankee game, and I love having 15 millimeter miniatures to dink around with. However, today we're going to take it one step in a different direction. We're going to be playing with GHQ's 6 millimeter miniatures in Team Yankee. Now, we're not the first people to do this. Playing 6 millimeter in Team Yankee is kind of a cool way to adapt to the game. We have a smaller table. This table is about 2 feet wide by 3 feet wide, so it's about half the size of a normal table, which is why we have the 6 millimeter figures on there. Sometimes people play with 6 millimeter so they can just spread out the forces so it looks more like a modern battlefield, but here we're just playing a small game of Team Yankee on a small surface. I'm a huge fan of having the 15 millimeter forces as well. I haven't replaced my Team Yankee. I just have this as well. So we're going to be playing this out today. This is my first game of 6 millimeter Team Yankee. My opponents have played 6 millimeter Team Yankee before, so they're going to be showing me the ropes as to how any kind of adjustment goes. From what I recall, you said you just take the inches and divide them in half, right?
Correct. Yep.
So half of the inches is normal are going to be on this battlefield. So if I have a cross-country dash of 16, and instead of pulling out the full 16 inches, I will pull out 8 inches and slap it down like that. So that's the kind of measurement we'll have doing this in Team Yankee. Plus, we have templates that are actually small into the size. This actually is scaled for half-inch size. If every inch counts as a half-inch, this one works just fine.
So today we're going to be doing U.S. Marines versus Soviets.
Kazakhstan, technically, but it's still Soviet.
Yep, still a Soviet book. Yep, not Warsaw Pact specifically.
Yeah.
A Soviet Republic. I'm excited to be playing in this millimeter. 6 millimeters, a lot of fun, and it's 100 points each side. We are playing encounter, so it's a pretty standard mission, but there is scattered delayed reserves
on both sides.
On both sides. Yep.
That makes it a bit more fair.
Team Yankee, in my opinion, works better with reserves. I love reserves in this game. It's fantastic.
I can't say that about Flames of War, though.
No, Flames of War I'm not a big fan of reserves with. Team Yankee, great fan of reserves.
It's weird. I have a different opinion on that. I kind of think it's because of the mobility that's involved in the forces. All the infantry have transports. Most of the tanks are fast enough to do the job. So whatever you want to say about that, that's my piece.
Yeah, I would agree. Also, I know a lot of people talk about how just sheer model count. There usually is more models for Team Yankee than you'd get in Flames of War. And sometimes people claim that leads to a parking lot situation. But the majority of missions actually do have reserves. Being able to plot or create your army with reserves in mind is important for army building purposes. To know what would be good as a reserve coming on. I'm a huge fan of air mobile, so I have air mobile reserves. Or armored reserves as well. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. He's playing the United States Marines. My forces are based off the T-64 tank, which strangely enough, both of us think that's a very excellent tank to have in Team Yankee. Most Warsaw Pact players might argue of bringing this number or bringing this number. I just bring 4 per platoon, but I bring 3 platoons. It's a lot more flexible that way. So I've decided to bring my T-64s, accompanied by plentiful infantry. I've also done one thing that's kind of strange, but it's legal. The Afghansi have a black box where the infantry is a separate black box from the helicopter. And in the rules for army creation, any one black box in as a support option. I picked the Afghansi infantry. So the Afghansi infantry they technically should ride helicopters, but today I think we might see them coming in on some tanks.
Sounds good.
So yeah.
That's awesome. I'm a big fan of that. Afghansi are awesome. That's the elite Russian troopers.
Yeah, they're the ones that don't have the painted Russacks.
Are they the 4-up? Or are they careful, or are they...
They're the ones that have the better assault rating.
Okay, so Afghansi, but not Afghansi VDB.
Yeah, they're Afghansi out of the main book, not out of Red Dawn. I do have Red Dawn so I can run my fitters, which is funny. This is not official. I kind of was out of miniatures at a certain point. These are my North Vietnamese MiG-21s. They and a Finnish MiG-21 that you weirdly enough may have saw in a previous video are all going to stand in as my air support. I don't have official air support for my army yet, so yeah, I'll be making do. And here is the deployment. The United States Marines on this side, Kazakhstan/Soviet Union on this side. Now, one thing that's kind of funny about this is that it being an encounter, we both have, delayed scattered reserves, but it's also funny because the Marines force is kind of on the light side, so they have more forces out there, though those light forces are still very effective at their job. And of course, the Kazakh forces, I've got BMPs, I've got T-64s. I've got Shilkas and Acacia artillery. I had to borrow some spandrels. That's good. But our forces are bigger and thicker and heavier. But we're kind of a bit outnumbered at this point, but we can still get this game won. I also realized that the bases we put these guys on don't sit very well on top of these hills. So this guy's actually in this position, cresting, looking over the crest of the hill, whereas right now he has to be put there for balance purposes. So that's weird, but it's being done.
We spearheaded with LAV-25s. Got here, a couple of them got stuck in the woods going up, but two did go up.
Two
to give us a bit of a deployment bubble. I have tow Humvees here, and then of course the LAV ATs here. On this side over here, we deployed our artillery. These marine transports are actually full of Marines. They're just sort of coming up the side. And then because of this bubble here, I couldn't get any further forward, but I was able to deploy this Marine platoon into these two buildings. And because it's meeting engagement, they start in foxholes. So anybody outside the buildings is down in foxholes. Nice. Company command is here.
I did deploy my Afghansi infantry because that's a funny thing. You can bring Afghansi infantry as a black box support. And so I have them riding in on my 4 tanks here. I pretty much have it 1 per each as far as the infantry stands, and then they have an added RPG each. So each tank is carrying an RPG and an infantry. Not quite, but still. And so they're coming in here, commander of the force. Then we have Shilkas that are just hanging around here waiting to respond to something. There are infantry and these BMP transports. So we're pretty much going to start mixing it up with the enemy on first turn. Spandrels kind of hiding in the woods. That's the funny thing about Team Yankee. Even if you have a really crap deployment. So if you have a really good deployment, but you have a really crap cross value, you can put your horrible cross value vehicles in woods and just leave them there. And you don't have to worry about that cross value killing you throughout the rest of the game.
And you'll also notice in this because this is 6 mil and we're using these 15 millimeter bases for trees, that gives us a much bigger woods presence than you'd normally see. I'm a big fan of woods personally.
Yeah.
In Team Yankee. Big fan of cross value. Cross value is by far, in my opinion, the best soft stat in the game. Having a good cross value is the difference between better mobility and being able to execute a good plan or getting stuck.
Yeah.
US, of course, has really good cross value. The vehicles that are out right now aren't the best because LAVs are only cross out of 4. But older tanks and tracked equipment are cross value of a 2+, with the exception of the AAV 7Ps. They are cross value 3. But
aren't the patents 3 too?
No, the patents are 2s.
Nice. Okay.
And 60 patents cross on a 2.
Okay.
13s might be 3.
And with 13s, yeah, they may be 3s. But Bradley's also cross on a 2.
Okay. Nice.
So they've got pretty good cross and good mobility. So we'll see how that goes. And then, other than that, roll for turn 1. We don't know who's going first yet.
Yeah. Let me grab a dice here.
Got a 6.
Well, I guess you get to choose who goes first.
Well, I guess we'll go first. You
Okay.
good with that?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay.
Ah, nice.
Sounds good.
All right.
All right.
This is the end of my turn, then their turn, turn 1. So, it's a bit of a fracas here. My BMPs, 2 of them got shot down. I just made enough passenger saves, though, that there were 3 out of the 4 infantry that were here survived and went into the buildings. The rest then decided to just dismount toward the buildings and hold this spot, while the remaining living BMPs went and got some revenge. So that was that action there. The spotter spotted for the artillery, and we dropped some rounds over here on the recon, took out one of their tows, and bailed out one of the recon vehicles, that being relatively important. These guys opened fire on the spandrels, and I believe missed. Oh, no, actually, we deflected one. We actually had one bounce off of the armor. They had 50 caliber machine guns on top. They just shot the spandrels. I think the Soviet word for them is Concours. The Concours shot back and utterly missed. We got like 2s and 3s when we needed 4s or 5s. So the Shilka opened fire and bailed out one of the LAVs. These count as smoke, and for the most part, it's...
Turn 2 I expect to be a lot more exciting.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, there's the end of turn 1 for you. This is the bottom of turn 2. And what I have here, I had some a flight of fitters come in and try to smack around these infantry. But lo and behold, they're in terrain, And I'm a skill 5, so guess what? I didn't get any of my range in attempts. That did not work. That simply did not work. I lost my spotter, so that guy can't lift anymore, can he? This Shilka got revenge on some LAVs. He's got a last stand to take next turn. We did also some bailing out over here. The infantry fired out. They're no longer gone to ground, which is kind of sad, but they were in concealment, so they're going to last longer because they got bulletproof cover. These guys are too close to the spandrels, and I can't use them. He dropped artillery again, ended up killing nothing over here but bailing guys out. The T-64s opened fire, though, and took out those last of the Humvee tows. That was pretty good for me. It was sad to lose as much as I did, but that's what happens when you play Warsaw Pact. You lose stuff. But I killed that guy, and I killed that guy, and I killed these two guys here. And so I'm in decent straits. Once my reserves come in, I can actually start wailing on it, since my real power is in my reserves. This stuff is just kind of here to occupy space.
Ran up my AA-7Ps to get within minimum range of the missiles here, and then I fired machine guns down at the artillery, but didn't kill any.
Yeah.
LAVs did a good job.
LAVs did a really good job. Yep, they destroyed a bunch of Shilkas. Dismounted my other Marine platoon over here, and have the transports coming through this little corridor.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, I think that's kind of killed the spotter. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is one of those turns where not a lot of great swings occurred, but there was definitely some blood and loss. Ready for the top of turn 3?
Top of turn 3.
Here we go. There's the bottom of turn 3. Do you guys want to explain your side of things?
Moved up with infantry, opened fire, didn't kill any tanks with them, but did get into a good position. Opened fire with SMAs, I should say.
Yeah.
Slow fire, so they were harder to hit.
We took out one T-64 with a TOW 2.
We did take out a T-64 with a TOW 2. So that platoon's down to 2 tanks and the overall company, or battalion commander. Actually.
Yeah, I can feel that. 2 tanks and a commander. This is not good.
If we kill one more tank out of the platoon, they'll have to check.
Yes,
Or
true.
he'll have to check. We dashed our tows over this way to try and get into a better position to cover. And Shilka ran away.
This Shilka, well, I can explain. Yeah, the Shilka had a fun time doing revenge, but when it came to start my turn, he didn't want to stick around. So he could have had fun with that guy, but no. On my turn, I got my T-64s. I have 3 platoons of them. The second platoon came in as reserves. Might as well, right? They showed up all the way over here, so I could bring them in here. They just dashed up so they can get into a better position to start fighting. These guys are still useless. This guy actually got missed. The Acacias were pulling up. I mean, we're going to bust right through his armor. And our firepower and direct line of sight is automatic. We rolled 2s and 1s to hit this guy. I'm sorry. 3s and 1s. 3s and 1s hit this guy.
Needed a 4.
It was disgusting. It was very disgusting. The
Firepower would have
RPGs,
killed him immediately.
the RPGs rebailed these guys. They had to make a morale check. All passed on like a 4+ or 4+ whatever. 3+ to make the roll, but they rolled like 4 or 5 or 6. So good rolls there. We had 9 shots to try to do some damage against these guys. Woofed it with like nothing but 1s and like a 2 or 3 here or there. It was the shittiest roll I've ever seen in my life from these guys. These guys backed off to next turn digging on the objective. They've got some angry T-64s covering them. For the most part, my dice rolls were pretty incompetent this turn. I didn't even roll to get my aircraft in, so my aircraft didn't show up. It was a pretty nasty turn as far as bad luck on my part. But I'm holding out my position, and I'm going to dig in my teeth where I can. I still have all these guys in reserves that can still swing the tide in my favor. We still have nasty infantry here that are willing to fight to the last tooth and nail. I feel like I have a chance still, but the dice aren't with me. So yeah, shall we go to turn 4?
Turn 4.
Turn 4.
I roll for reserves. 2 dice. 2.
Oh.
2 units, son of a bitch. This is the bottom of turn 4, and it is a mess. Where do I even begin? Do you guys want to describe your stuff, and then I'll jump into the bottom?
So we got 2 reserves in. We brought in our anti-aircraft here, and they came over here, as well as the Patton tanks. Pattons, 3 of them got stuck on the edge of the woods, which was kind of unfortunate because they have a 2+ cross. Came in for somewhat of a flanking maneuver to come through.
Got flanked for their trouble.
Got flanked for their trouble, but it's okay. There's still 3 of them. That's 6 shots. And they're still in good spirits. The infantry failed to dig in. They fired on the tanks with Dragon 2s, but failed to hit, I think. Yeah, failed to hit. These 2 fired, but it did bail a guy out, but he got back in and
We Soviets are really good at bailing back in.
Yeah, bailed back in on 3s.
Move these LAVs out of the woods. Did a cross here. One still got stuck.
And that's kind of it.
Yeah. My aircraft did not range in. They didn't come in on the board. I rolled one reserve as well, and so I brought in my BMPs. They just fired on the LAV that had... It couldn't really hold the objective because this is not in good spirits, single-man unit, but he died anyway. The Acacias unpinned, unbailed one of their bailed-out tanks. I should flip it over so it actually says bailed out, shouldn't I? There you go. And then I have this little beastie right here. It got blasted by them. We killed one infantry stand over here. We dug in on the objective, which is good. The outflanking maneuver here was actually pretty good. I thought it was going to be pretty sour, but I passed with my cross-checks. Hey, we have 1 dice per tank, so we fired in, and luckily I got 2 6s in a row. It was the best shooting I did all game. And so I killed 2 Pattons. I am not expecting that to carry for very much longer. But my infantry are still alive. They're still here. We have not killed this guy yet over all these turns.
And he hasn't ran away. He's been double-belled multiple times, and he keeps rolling that 4.
There's been a lot of sticky men this turn. These infantry are sticky. These tanks are sticky. Those guys just fail to run away at any circumstance. Those infantry are holding that section of buildings so hard. I should just ignore those infantry because they're just going to be there all game, and I can't bring any forces to assault them well enough to get them out. They've got such great defensive fire. I really need a drop force or just a saturation napalm to get them out, and I don't have it in my forces. So it's just like last turn. I think I'm really tenaciously sticking in there, and I've got the means to win the game still. But my God, so much junk. So much junk. We'll see how the next couple turns go. For the most part, we're ready to go on to turn 5 and see how this pales out, right?
Yep.
All right. On to turn 5. Bottom of turn 5. What a mess. So, I brought in my aircraft. I brought in my last reserve, which is more T-64 tanks. And all of my T-64 tanks have showed up over here. They dropped their aircraft here and said hang out, because that's how you do it.
Air Mobile Reserve came in, moved the other 2 transports that have been staying idle for a while. I kept forgetting about them. Moved our infantry over this way towards this objective.
Thank God you're no longer sitting still.
Ran the tow Humvees down this way. Came around, swooped around, and knocked out a couple more tanks over here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's pretty much where we're at. 2 M60s are left up. My tank forces are dwindling, but they're technically still in good spirits.
Yeah, tell me about it.
There's still 4 shots.
So what did I get? I got my last reserves, the T-64s. My aircraft came in, shot up these 2 tows, but only bailed them out. We dropped our infantry from the BMPs last turn here. And these guys are here. Because the BMPs last turn just showed up and shot autocannons to get this guy off the objective. And then these guys deployed this turn. We're kind of dinking around in the bush over here with T-64s. These guys came over and tried to threaten some anti-aircraft jeeps, but they're still kicking around. These guys pulled up here. One got bailed out. This guy got bogged on the edge of a wood, so either of these M60s can try to do something about him next turn. We did more useful shooting over here against these guys in the woods, but all we're really doing right now is making sure they have less numbers. We got a dragon. The dragon got shot and went away, thank God. These guys are still here. We've got a ranged in token on top of them that's going to suck. The Acacias did direct fire over here and blast a stand of infantry off. Then the infantry here got really uppity and decided to do the same thing. They blasted another stand of infantry off. So we've been slowly picking away at their infantry, which is not what I want to hear, but it's happening. For the most part, it's a quagmire here. I mean, there's a lot of dead bodies here, but this is controlled by me. This is my sector right here. No one's taking this objective. And no one's taking this objective because I've got some men on it, even though they're ranged in. They're dug in. They're doing their job, right? And they've got tanks here for mobile support. So I'm doing well. But then again, his objectives are going haha, you can't touch me. I mean, I got one tank close to that, but as long as those guys survive being shot by a single T-64, I think we're fine. And if he gets reduced to a unit of 1, I can't contest the objective because I'm not in good spirits. So this is actually pretty pivotal, and I'm not going to take it with 1 tank. I need both. Or more. More tanks need to show up.
And then turn 6 we'll have a good idea on who's really... Yeah. Because you're close to objective, and so are we. Mm-hmm. So...
Oh yeah, kinda. Cool. Yeah, we can look into that. Turn 6 it is. And here's what I'm actually looking at here. There was an assault that happened over here that this guy by himself like stood out and was able to push back the Marines. They rolled bad, so don't worry about that. As far as the Marines are competent, and next turn they don't. This is why the game is going to end here, because this is happening. There's plenty of backup. The push that's coming here is just a strong, hard push. This is actually, I control this sector. I really do. There was an assault here, but because there's so many different interlocking fields of fire, those Marines couldn't get past my shit tons of defensive fire. They are ranging into my artillery. Didn't kill any of them, but ranging in. And I was going to have to roll to see if this guy... It's funny because this guy is just bogged down, not bailed out, but still it counts as being in bad spirits because he's back here and I'm up here with him, right?
Yeah, he's
so
he's no longer in command.
Those two M60s wiped out the rest of the T-64s, barring this guy who also needs to make a test. So yeah, the T-64s have been made ineffectual. These three guys are still standing, and they did a good job doing defensive fire for the most part. Holy God. Pain. So this is the game right here. Not because I can't do it, but because this would be a Herculean feat to pull off. We've got two 50 cals in support on the other side. They've got backups coming on. This infantry is way too alone to win successfully against these boys. And there's too many ways to kill these boys in the pipes.
On top of everything, we also have two toe twos staring.
Who they just rolled up. They haven't even fired yet because they just rolled up. So there's a lot going on the fact that this corner is going to fail. And you know what? This is bringing up something that I have said in the past. I really think having infantry on the table is the key to winning Team Yankee. I had 3 different platoons of infantry, which is why I'm doing as well as I did. Notice I had tanks get wiped out all over here, right? But I had infantry to keep me all the way down to the top of turn 6. And honestly, in turn 6, I would have lost the game at some point. This is turn 6, isn't it? You're at the top of turn 6.
This would be the start of turn 6.
Yeah, this is actually the start. This is actually the start of turn 6. So yeah, the game is called here because there's no way I can recover this hard enough to be awesome. These guys could try to assault these boys, but it's going to be a bad run. They have SMAs. There's ways to win that one. And I don't have enough bodies compared to their bodies. I really don't.
It was a good game.
Very hard fought.
We only took one platoon of M60s, and we really squeezed every bit of work out of them as we could. They still ended in good spirits. That 2+ cross is just so helpful.
Yes.
We were able to get to the side pretty easily and fire on the T-64s, which was definitely the way to take them out, because then at that point there's no save and a 2-up firepower.
Yes!
We were threatened over here, for sure. He did outrun his squad mate, so there was a chance that this guy would leave, but just in case, we kept assets nearby to cover that objective, while more TOE2s came down, just in case. I don't think we were going to break through here. We might have been able to pin down the infantry with our artillery and maybe destroy some artillery while we're at it. And we had our tanks here to try and cause havoc over here as well, but this really was the big push. So we had we had one entirely alive platoon of Marines and one mostly alive platoon of Marines pushing in on this objective. We still had one Dragon 2 in here and 2 SMAs, 2 more Dragon 2s coming up, and 2 TOE2s to put fire on those 3 T-64s. For the T-64s, this was their company command, and this was a platoon, so we only needed to kill one of the tanks of the platoon and then knock out the company commander.
And that would cause a morale check.
Yep, it'd be a formation check.
I'm thinking back on this game, and I'm thinking one of the weaknesses I've had is when I had the Tenko Desantniki here, that's what these guys are, I should have just, instead of having them follow and support the T-64s, which sounds like a good idea strategically, but we needed to cover this objective. So I should have just disembarked them, dug them in, and just stayed there, and just it benefited from that, while I had the T-64s go out and try to keep this back and do as much damage as possible. These guys should all be dead, but those guys should be severely suffering. Instead, these guys are in pretty good numbers, and these guys are almost all dead. Had I switched those numbers, I could have won this objective much harder. Mm-hmm. So that was the real tactical error, and I made that at the beginning of the game because I thought, hey, let's just support the thrust. Well, it wasn't going on here, weirdly enough. There was enough light and heavy assets over here that it would have moving this way was going to be more difficult than moving this way.
Right, like this is as far as the thrust actually got before
Yes.
it had to turn back.
That's true.
Yeah, we had it was a real aggressive NATO push on this one.
Very aggressive.
Very aggressive NATO push, in fact.
Right here.
T5s did a lot of work.
He did get pretty far with the T-64, but for the most part, it was NATO pushing deep into
From the
enemy
get-go.
lines. Yep. Yeah, it was a good game. Air Mobile Reserves definitely came in to reinforce this front really well.
Yes.
Our tanks coming in on this side was actually a really big help because this is where your armored push was coming from, and we were able to outflank them.
And kill them.
And kill them, yep.
M60s are very useful in this game.
Yeah.
Don't look at the fact they have less armor than everybody else and just go peh, because that main gun is just like the Leopard's main gun. The Leopard 1 main gun can still kill everything from the side.
Yep.
Yeah, and the American M60, I mean, it does have brutal, which is unfortunate, but it is AT-20, which is
Yes.
really powerful, and it's still a 2 firepower.
Yes.
2 shots on the
And
move.
2 shots on the move.
Yeah.
And of course, you can still use, I mean, it has stabilizers, so if you need to move that 14 inches for the +1 hit, you can do that too.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I initially did when I moved around in here. I did get 3 bogged somehow. I rolled 3 ones
Yeah.
on this. That's unusual.
Yeah.
But it happens. But yeah, I'd say overall a good game. It was a lot of fun playing in 6 mil.
Yes.
Armies looked great. The battlefield was a ton of fun. It was really wild. It was really swingy for a minute there.
Yeah. Do you know what I really like about this scale? Is it feels like you're playing a nice, casual, cozy game on a table as opposed to having the full sprawl. It is possible to play 6mm with the full sprawl, so we get more dimensionality out of the game. But this does work for just playing a nice game of Team Yankee. It would be, of course, probably a smaller point value would make the map less cluttered. But this also worked just fine.
I like playing Team Yankee at full points. I play at 115 usually, so we're even lower than my usual.
Yeah. I tend to play lower than 100 usually, but yeah.
Reserves is why.
Yeah.
I like
the reserves do that, yes.
And reserves were fun. I mean, mobile armored reserves is a huge deal. Air mobile, I love air mobile. I swear by it.
Yeah.
As a reserve unit.
Air mobile is a great idea. So yeah. Anyway, shall I call it good game?
Yeah, good game.
Yeah. There you go. All right. And we'll see more Team Yankee games in the future. That is for sure.
Yeah, absolutely,
All right.
absolutely.
Thanks for watching the video, and you guys have a great rest of your week.